Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
I'm with Pradyot Manikya Deb Barman, the leader of the Indigenous Peoples Regional Alliance, a tribal political party in Tripura. Pradyot, thank you very much for speaking to ThePrint and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, you are in your home in Tripura, Nagartala, and I'm here in Delhi. And the reason I'm talking to you is because of this beautiful piece that you wrote about how you were also once in the Congress. And this has resonated, I think, across large parts of the country, if I may add, because Sachin Pilot, somebody who's exactly your age, 42 years old, has staged a rebellion in the party. So your first comments on your former colleague.
I know Sachin for a very long time. In fact, my parents knew Mr. Rajesh Pilot very well. They were in the parliament together. And I've always seen Sachin as a very hardworking, loyal congressperson. So it was no secret that he was having a lot of problem with Ashok Gehlot. I don't know what is happening right now. I did speak to him a couple of times. I just hope that he sticks to his stand that he will not go and do a U-turn and join BJP, because credibility is the most important thing in a public person's life. And if anyone makes a U-turn, it would be very unfortunate, because this country has a lot of expectation from Sachin. I'm not saying that he has to remain in Congress, but I don't think it would be very wise of him to jump suddenly from a party which was like Congress suddenly all the way to BJP. It would hurt and harm him a lot more in the long run. Coming back to what is happening right now in the rebellion, I think it's been very poorly managed. The High Command should have probably been more sensitive, probably more proactive. Everybody knows that Sachin and Gehlot have been having a problem for the last 2 years.
Right.
These things should have been addressed a lot earlier. It is very unfortunate that the deputy CM got a notice of sedition from his own state government.
Yeah.
These are very poorly managed. It just the only loser here. Sachin is not a winner. Congress is not a winner. The only winner here, it seems like, is BJP, and the perception that they've been trying to create that the Congress is not a party for the youth.
So tell me, Pradyot, you yourself were in the Congress party, and barely 10 months ago, in September last year, September 2019, you resigned on Facebook, actually. What happened? You were a congressman, your parents have both been congressmen, members of parliament in the Lok Sabha. What happened to you? Why did you quit?
Well, I think that first of all, I need to clarify one point. Just because my parents were in Congress does not mean that I will be in Congress. I think it was a mistake that my parents were in any national party, because in the last 70 years, the indigenous people of Tripura have lost their voice. And whenever we thought that if we could be in the national party, you'd be able to address our concern, it was the other way around. Okay. Instructions were sent from Delhi for us to do whatever we had to do in Tripura. Now, this is irrespective of Congress, BJP, or any other national party which may come or go. Right. Second part is, my reason of falling out was, it was very clear. I waited till the by-elections, which was on the 23rd of September, and then I announced my resignation. I had already met Sonia ji, I had already met Priyanka Gandhi, Rahul wasn't around, and I had very clearly said that I will resign from the Congress, because my general secretary is not allowing me to function the way I want to function. He is in clear talks with leaders who are members of the BJP, and he's undermining me every day. So if you have...
Who was the general secretary at the time?
He's still the general secretary, from Mr. Goa. You can do a bit of research yourself.
Mr. Faleiro.
Yes. And well, that this happened, and then
you said he was undermining you. In what way?
As I said, he was in. I was not allowed to appoint district presidents. I was not allowed to form a committee without a green signal from members who were in the BJP, who are his former close friends. Second thing was, I had clearly mentioned it to the Congress president in writing. I had met her 3-4 times. I met Priyanka as well, and I told her, I will leave the party, but I will promise you that I will not go to the BJP, because I can't abandon my community and my people of the region, the indigenous people. The second thing was, Jyoti, that the Citizenship Amendment Act was on the verge of being implemented. My entire movement, in fact, one of the main reasons I think the Congress even got me as the president was because I was leading a largely indigenous movement in my state. And the CAA was about to happen. And I had told my general secretary that we need to start an agitation right away because this is something we need to counter very strongly, and this is something we believe in.
Right. You
He
believe
said,
CAA.
yes, my case is pending in the Supreme Court right now.
The Citizenship Amendment Act, which
BJP is brought in. We were completely against it. Now, the narrative was that, okay, in Assam, Meghalaya, Arunachal, Manipur, Sikkim, you can oppose CAA, but in Tripura, like in parts of Barak Valley, water it down because they may hurt your vote bank. Now, I had a fundamental problem.
No, so the Congress, sorry to interrupt, but the Congress said this to you that you could not oppose the CAA in
so strongly and so openly and so blatantly. And I said, why should we have two rules, one in Tripura and another in Mizoram or Meghalaya or Nagaland or Assam? And they said, no, but then we have to take people along to win elections. I did not join politics to allow Bangladeshis to come into my land and become chief ministers and ministers. I am opposed to Citizenship Amendment Act. It goes against my fundamental ethos of my community, my indigenous people of the Northeast, and I will not compromise on it. So I think they misunderstood. They thought that I would stay quiet and take the party line. I'm sorry. If the party had to give this line, they should have given it to me in writing. If they can't give it to me in writing, then I'm going to do what is right for my people.
No, but 1 second, Pradyot. Let me just understand this very clearly. The BJP passed the Citizenship Amendment Act because they do not want Bangladeshis or outsiders, as they say, to come into the country, to come into our country. You are in agreement of that?
No. Tripura has the largest number of migrant Hindu Bengalis who have come into my state post 1949 when we merged with India.
Sure.
Today, our population is 3 times more that of the people who have at some point had origins in Bangladesh. My point was very clear that I'm opposed to CAA irrespective of religion. In Assam, BJP looks at it as a Muslim problem. The rest of India looks at it as a Hindu-Muslim problem.
Sure.
The people who've turned up in Tripura or in parts of Barak Valley were largely Hindu displaced people. So my point was very clear that anyone, irrespective of his religion, we Tripurese indigenous people are largely Hindus ourselves. I'm a Hindu myself. But I'm opposed to the Citizenship Amendment Act. And this is very clear. The Northeast takes it very differently from, let's say, the rest of India. We were against Citizenship Amendment Act because our population is small. And any allowing of Hindu migrants, because let's be very honest, Bangladesh is the world's 3rd largest Hindu country. And any migrant Hindus coming in without documents would have put us in further risk. And my point was something simple. Tripura, which has taken 3 times its population of migrants from Bangladesh, why should we do it all over again when states like Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, to a certain degree, Meghalaya and Sikkim have hardly taken anyone from Bangladesh? So why were we made to stand again when we had already done enough? Today, we have had chief ministers from outside. We have had chief ministers who have been born outside our country. We've had advocate generals who are at one time practicing in Bangladesh. MLAs are born in Bangladesh. So when we merge with India, we merge with certain guarantees that you'll protect our land, you'll protect our language, you'll protect our ethnicity, you'll protect our community. Today, 70 years later, we feel isolated, alienated. So obviously, for me, my people would come before any vote bank politics.
So irrespective of whether these immigrants from Bangladesh or from anywhere else were Hindu or Muslim or any other religion.
Or Christians, anyone.
Or anybody.
The point is that we have taken enough. If the government of India wants to accept people, please, we have taken 3 times our population. Please resettle them in equal numbers across the country. But why should one state take the brunt of it and then another, which is immediate neighbor or which has a larger population, be not put under the purview of CAA?
So what did Mr. Faleiro, then General Secretary and today in charge of Tripura, as well as Mr. C P Joshi, what did they say to you?
See, Mr. C.P. Joshi came to Tripura for 4 hours in 4.5 years. And the next time he came was when Rahul Gandhi had come for an election rally. He came and he flew back with Rahul Gandhi after the election rally. Mr. Faleiro took over sometime in 2018, August, September. And this is 2020. It's almost been 2 years. He's come for 3 hours. So you have general secretaries who've got no understanding of Northeast, who turn up for 3 hours or 4 hours, who don't even spend a day. And then they go back and we have to run everything through them. I thought that this was a federal country, but everything is remote control. Frankly, I think that one of the main reasons Congress has gone down over the years is because it's not allowed strong regional voices to come up. When we speak for a region, we don't speak against our country. But we are a part of India as well. Please listen to us. हमने क्या गलती की है कि हम एक border में थे और आप central India में थे. So,
let me just stop you right here. You are accusing Mr. Faleiro and Mr. Joshi for not being sensitive to the regional aspirations of Tripura in your case. But the fact remains that there is a Congress president, Sonia Gandhi right now. Last year during the elections, Rahul Gandhi, very, very powerful leader of the of the Congress party and as well as of the country, your good friend.
Well, I complained to Sonia Gandhi. I know that it was upon our persistent complaints, not only by me, but by a lot of other people, that Mr. Joshi eventually was sent back to Rajasthan. Let's be very honest, there was a time when the entire Northeast, barring Nagaland and Sikkim, were with the Congress, and Tripura, but where we were the primary opposition. Today, there is no Congress in any of the states. In fact, in Tripura, it's in the number 4th position. In Sikkim, it's got 1% vote. Nagaland, it's in the 5th position. I don't see what's happened to the Congress. It's happened because of poor management.
But didn't you tell your friend Rahul Gandhi that?
I told him that. And with all due credit, Rahul did get Mr. Joshi out, but then he put in Mr. Faleiro, which I think was a travesty, actually, because Mr. Faleiro is not interested in Northeast.
But last year during the general elections, we saw how when Rahul came to Tripura and both of you, and he was hugging your mother, and of course these are pictures on Facebook and social media. So this very warm, seemingly warm relationship between your family and him, I mean, you left.
I left. I tried to contact him. He was not in India. But I've never said a single word against him. I'm not in the business of criticizing people just because equations change politically or socially. I still have a lot of love for him. I wished him on his birthday. I know his team very well, and they keep in touch with me. The fact is that it's over. I mean, our political relationship is over. But that does not mean that I go down and start criticizing him and calling him names. I don't think our upbringing is such where we take pot shots at people. I think he was a great leader. I think he was wonderful when I was the president. He backed me to the hilt. We did the highest vote share jump in the entire country, Jyoti, was in Tripura. We jumped from 1.8% to close to 30%. That's a huge jump. And that was because he backed people and he backed my agenda. It's just that after he resigned, the same general secretary who was singing tunes to us, saying, ha, ha, this, that, they suddenly felt emboldened. They thought that, okay, they were back in the game.
So do you still keep in touch with him?
Once in a while, I do send him a message.
And you chat on the phone and...
Well, that's personal, but I have huge love for Rahul. I mean, please don't take this fondness for him for me to come back to the Congress. I have huge personal love for him. I respect that guy. He's a good person. He's a good person. And I think when he resigned, he did write a letter which said that leaders were pushing their sons. Chief ministers were pushing their sons. And that was one of the big reasons why the Congress party did so badly in certain states. Today, the same chief ministers are the people of the grassroots and the ones who are fighting, holding fort.
But Pradyot, don't you think that there's an element of hypocrisy here? I mean, he himself has inherited the mantle of the Nehru Gandhis. How can he say something like that?
We are all hypocrites. When did I say we are not hypocrites? We are all hypocrites. When journalists say that we are free, we are not. We've all at some point benefited, whether it was from Gandhi benefited from industrialists during the freedom struggle. He couldn't say that he just fought it on his own. Everybody has certain skeletons in the closet. I definitely have it. And I would say that I would be a hypocrite if I said that my parents were perfect and I am now the Congress is bad. We've always, we should have always first spoken for the people. So we are all hypocrites. We've all tried to camouflage. It's just that something hits you one day. It's that Jerry Maguire moment, Jyoti. I don't know how you can say it. It's something hits you one day, and you say, "Nahi, ab nahi hoga ya. I have to say what is in my heart." And I just did what I had to, what I thought was right. And I truly love my people from the Northeast, and that's it. It's nothing more, nothing less.
So two questions here. You said that that you were against the CAA, irrespective of the fact whether these potential immigrants were Hindu or Muslim. But the BJP, for example, when they brought in the CAA, and it is an act now, and there are lots of people, as you know, in detention centers across the Northeast. Now, there was a big rumor that you were going to join the BJP.
How could I? I was offered to join the BJP a long time ago, and a lot of good positions were offered to me.
By whom?
By, let's say, the highest leadership in the country, not in the state, in the country.
Prime Minister?
Maybe a bit below that. But the fact is...
Minister Amit Shah?
Could be. What I'm trying to say...
What did he say? What did he say to you? He asked you to join the BJP. What did he say?
They thought I was an asset. But I do know that if I join any political party without setting my people's agenda clear, I'm not going to be a spokesperson for a national party to my people. I'm going to be a spokesperson for my people to the national parties.
Right.
And if it means I remain zero for the rest of my life and I never win an election, so be it. I don't think I'm going to compromise on that aspect at all. So
what was the problem? He wanted...
I'm uncomfortable with a lot of things which BJP brings in without clarification. I'm uncomfortable because BJP brings in CAA. My entire political ideology goes against the fact of CAA in its present format. BJP wants to bring in uniform civil code, which I think could be dangerous and detrimental to the fabric of my region, maybe to the country. I also believe that there are a lot of elements in BJP which are just looking to expand power, but they're not trying to win over the hearts of the people. So I wasn't convinced. I'm still not convinced. And
so you floated your own regional party?
It's a movement. It may become a party. It may remain a movement. It may become, some people say it may become an outfit. But the fact is that you cannot, you have to come to Northeast. You have to see the plight of our indigenous people. They call me Maharaja, royal, this, that. I'm not a royal. I'm an indigenous person from the Northeast who studied all my life in the Northeast. Actually, lived all his life in the Northeast.
Right. So, I read the introduction of this interview that you are the son of a former royal, which are, you know, these royals that are littered across the countryside in India. But I'm glad you brought it up yourself that you are not a royal.
No, we are not polo playing royals. You have to understand. We're probably pork eating, guitar playing, living in the wild, eating bamboo shoot. We are that sort of. You have to understand. We have got a problem of generalizing everybody. We generalize paramilitary forces with the armed forces. We generalize the whole of South India as idli dosa. We generalize North India as tandoori chicken. You generalize Northeast and momo. You can't generalize. I mean, the word royal itself is not applicable in the parts of the Northeast. I'm not called Maharaja. We are called Bubagra. That means we are Tiprasas. We are proud Tiprasas. Now people will say, what is Tiprasa? Well, go and do your homework and find out. But we are Tiprasas. We are very happy as Tiprasas. And the fact is, we would not like to be identified with polo playing royals living in Lodi Gardens.
Okay, that's a huge accusation, and let me say that none of us.
It's not an accusation. It's an observation.
Okay, well, that's a very, very contemptuous observation, Pradyot, because let me just assure you that nobody in the print either lives in Lodi Gardens or plays polo. I think we can barely spell the word. But anyway, just to come back.
By the way, polo did start from Manipur, if people don't realize
It
that.
did.
Yeah, it did. It didn't start in any way. It was in Manipur that it started.
Right. So here you are, somebody who left the Congress party. You needn't have left. Your parents were both in it. Like Rahul Gandhi, you inherited the mantle of your parents. If you wanted, you could have been a member of parliament from Tripura, from Agartala. But you didn't. You left the Congress. You believed that the Congress didn't care enough. Am I right?
I think the Congress made the right noises, but the actions which followed were not sincere. The problem was sincerity. You have to give it to BJP. They are very sincere in what they believe in. The Congress party sounds, Congress party is India. I mean, the way India functions, the way India thinks. The
Right.
only problem is that people have stopped believing that the Congress party is sincere. And that's the problem. That's the image credibility problem.
So surely Sonia Gandhi and Rahul and Priyanka can do something about that image problem, can't they?
I'm sure they can. I'm sure they should. But it's up to them now. I
But you,
mean, I said what I had to say. I did not resign. I resigned from the party. I was not given any show cause notice. I was not suspended like many of the others have.
wouldn't you say, Pradyot, that one of the biggest problems in the party today, and we've seen it with the Sachin Pilot example, yours was less public, your resignation. But the fact is that the Gandhis who dominate the party are actually missing in action.
I think what they should do, they should pick up the phone more often and directly talk to the state leaders rather than depending on the Ahmed Patels and the Mukul Vasniks and the Faleiros and the CP Joshis of the world. I think,
But
I
there is
mean,
a
not.
but there is a sort of a noblesse oblige, which is that I sit on top, and it's the people of India somewhere there below.
Those who sit on top should be more humble than those who don't sit on the top. That's one lesson I learned from my late father. Your power does not come from the fact that you're inaccessible. Your power comes from the fact that you can solve solutions and problems. Uh, I would, Rahul Gandhi, between 2016 to 2019, every time I called up, he responded. He was there. That helped a lot of issues.
But
Of
Sachin
course,
Pilot, every time, I mean, he's been in Delhi the last few days, ever
yeah,
since.
so that's what happened to Scindia as well, and that's what's happened to Sachin as well. That's
Yeah.
what happened to me when I resigned. I tried to call him up. He was inaccessible. He was not in the country. I don't know. I think that we've really depended on Rahul. Maybe it was wrong on our part. We should have we should have depended more on our own structure or created more lobbies within the Congress. But our leader was Rahul, and he was the go-to person. So
But
I
the
think it's partly his fault, it's partly our fault. We were over dependent on an individual, and we should give him the space now that he's no longer the president. We shouldn't have too much expectations. Once he comes back, great. If he doesn't come back, at least for heaven's sake, get a full-time president. There are many people who even want to ally with the Congress party, but they don't know who to talk to.
but just last couple of questions, Pradyot. You said that the BJP, on the other hand, is a very sincere party.
No, I didn't say that. I said BJP is sincere in what it believes in.
Okay.
If it believes that Gomutra is the way out of cancer, they push the agenda through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that they are sincere or they're legitimate. What I'm trying to say is that they are there. An RSS worker turns up in a train, stays in a shakha, works day in, day out, and they do what they do best. But the BJP does tend to follow up in what they commit. Whether we like it or not, that is another issue. And we have to learn with it. Congress says all the right things. You know, to an indigenous person from the Northeast or maybe to someone from South India, we would love to, we would any day listen to the Congress narrative. But the fact is, who is the face on the ground and do you trust that person or not?
So in Tripura, the BJP is in power. How do you think it's doing?
I think it replaced one of the most, I think probably one of the most overrated governments in the country, Manik Sarkar's government, because I think Manik Sarkar and the communists destroyed Tripura. In fact, Jyoti, many people may not know that the maximum number of Vidhayaks who are right now in BJP were at some point Congress leaders, Congress MLAs, Congress ministers as well. But because the Congress was not serious to fight the communists in Tripura, the entire public who wanted to change from the communists went and voted for BJP.
But why was the Congress not serious enough?
That's what I'm trying to say. Because you have friends in Delhi, because you have secret. Why do you think Mamata Banerjee left Congress and started Trinamool? Because the Congress was not serious in defeating Jyoti Basu's CPM in West Bengal.
No,
so this is where I'm trying to say.
I don't understand that. Why not? Why cannot you not defeat the communists in Tripura or in
That's because equations are made in Delhi, and foot soldiers on the ground are then we are pawns. I mean, for the first time since 1992, we went ahead. 1991, we actually put the communists in the third place when I was the Lok Sabha president. How did I manage to do that in 10 days? They got a good 150,000 votes less than us. How did we manage to do that? Because we were sincere. We fought them on the ground. The people, you have to give it to Kerala Congress, whether it was Karuna Karan, whether it is the present organization set up. The people in Kerala know how to fight the communists. The people who have been given in charge in West Bengal and in Tripura did not want the communists and Congress to fight because we were friends in center. So in the state, and Tripura was too small a state, so you sacrificed it every time.
Right.
And that hurt has remained. And that sense of lack of trust has remained. We need to break that. And you can only break that with sincere people on the ground who are willing to put their own penny and their own blood and sweat and their commitment against a communist government in Tripura. We did that.
So this culture of the high command basically overseeing everything, from afar, from Delhi, is something that you think the Congress must change immediately?
I think it should. I mean, Indira Gandhi bounced back not with the strength of what happened in UP, in Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. She bounced back from Karnataka. I think the soul of India and the soul of Congress can only be won from the periphery. So what Rahul Gandhi needs to do, what Sonia Gandhi ji needs to do, what Priyanka ji needs to do is they need to travel. They need to go and meet people who are not necessarily organizational people. They need to come to the Northeast and spend 10 days here. Go to Karnataka, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, spend 1 week there. Go to Himachal Pradesh. Go and don't go before elections. Just go and meet people, get a feel of it, and then come back. Maybe that will help. But if they don't, the third narrative will come because BJP has a lot of problems. And if the Congress is not willing to stop them, people like us will stop the BJP wherever we think they are going wrong.
Last question, Pradyot. Sachin Pilot has said that he's not joining the BJP, unlike Jyotiraditya Scindia, who did go and join the BJP. But could he follow your example and float a regional party, which is not a very easy thing to do? First of all, you need a lot of money apart from other things.
No, you need a lot of money. You need to have a community base. Sachin comes from the Gujar community. That's a bit of because there are other caste equations in Rajasthan, and we understand that. Jyotiraditya had his Gwalior base, which was largely intact for whatever reason. I think it would be advisable if Sachin tries to work things out with the Congress. Frankly, I would rather have him work out things with the Congress. But if that does not work out, I would still appeal to my friend Sachin. I love you very much. You're a great guy. As Mr. Gehlot says, you're good looking. You speak good English. You're accessible to Delhi, just like Rahul Gandhi. But my suggestion is try to create your own platform rather than making a U-turn. Your credibility will be very badly hurt if you jump from Congress straight to the BJP. That's my only advice to my friend.
Well, Sachin Pilot, we hope you're listening to this heartfelt plea by your friend and former colleague Pradyot Manikya Deb Barman. Pradyot, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for speaking to ThePrint. Please follow us, read us. We know you're far away doing a very different kind of politics than we're used to here. But please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell us what we should do. Thank you. Thank you, Pradyot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.